We'll be back.
It matches your outfit, you.
We'll be back. Come on. Come on. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. We'll be back.
If he's a 39-year-old coming off an ACL surgery, would you advise him to fight again?
I would certainly not keep him from fighting. You know, I've seen and talked with athletes with far worse injuries continue their sports at varying levels. Lindsey Vonn, right?
Right.
You know, recent example, not that I talked to her, but right, we've seen kind of the extreme in her case. And so all you can do is you give them the pros, the cons. You talk about the risks. You talk about what possibilities could be there, and then you give them all the support that you can to help accomplish their goals, whatever they may be. I don't think there'd be any reason it would be dangerous for him to continue fighting, especially if he has a good recovery, no matter what the case may be. It certainly as we get older, it's harder to have an optimal recovery compared to, say, if this had happened when he was, 21 years old.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
But I have told you, look, you can't do this, right? As super of a man as Conor is, he's not Superman. His leg was broken in two. Ronda Rousey returned. Gina Carano returned. Prior to that, a decade, Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz did something. It was something, but it was enough that the promoter folded up and realized, if these are my highest paid guys and these are my stars and I owe them other fights, I'm best to just not be in this line of work. Right? It was just that real. It was just that real that you can't do this work at this level and hold down a main event spot in that condition. You just can't do it. You don't get better at anything.
The big question is he coming back? Well, here's what I think. I think that he will. I think that he came back because he's a fighter and that he gives a damn about his reputation as a fighter, not so much the money. Yes, the money's great, but he's got lots of that. But he wants to show the world, hey, I've still got it. I'm still the man. I can still beat these people in a fight, right? Because I think that. I'm 47 years old, and if some little punk thinks that they can beat me, I want to prove them wrong. And if I'm still active, if I'm still in the lightweight division or the middleweight division, and if I'm still of fighting age, then I certainly want to prove that. I don't want to walk away losing 4 out of my last 5 fights, okay? Because that'd be a bit embarrassing, okay? But that is just combat sports. It is a tale as old as time. That is what happens. This sport will churn you up, chew you up, spit you out, and leave you down the road, okay? And Conor McGregor has done very well out of it. Will he come back again and fight? Yeah. I don't know who it's going to be, okay? The big question is, of course, what is he going to do? Will he come back? That's what everybody wants to know, and I think that he will. When will that be? We don't know.
After a brutal loss from Max Holloway, Conor McGregor refuses to believe his story inside the octagon is over. Even after another crushing setback, the Notorious insists that he will fight again and silence everyone questioning his future. But while Conor remains confident, several of MMA's biggest voices aren't convinced that another comeback will be as simple as he believes. Chael Sonnen believes McGregor could face a much longer recovery than expected. If the injury involves major ligament damage, Sonnen says the rehab alone could sideline Conor for nearly a year, making a successful comeback even more challenging. Chael argues that time has become McGregor's toughest opponent. Every month spent away from high-level competition makes returning to peak form even harder, especially in a division filled with younger, active contenders. In Sonnen's view, the challenge isn't just healing, it's beating the clock before it becomes impossible.
It's hard for me to make a case. It's hard for me to imagine a quick turnaround for Conor if there is in fact a blown out knee. We're talking about a year right now before you return to the gym. Then if we're looking at delays or anything like this, if we take half the time till his next fight that we took between his previous fight and this fight, he's 40 years old. This isn't realistic.
Looking back at McGregor's recent performance, Chael pointed to one particular moment that immediately caught his attention. It wasn't a kick or a defensive mistake, it was the instant Conor threw a punch and appeared to lose his balance. To Sonnen, that brief exchange revealed far more than fans realized. Rather than blaming simple ring rust, Chael believes the movement exposed deeper physical limitations after such a lengthy layoff. He explained that elite fighters usually maintain their balance naturally, and seeing McGregor stumble so early raised serious concerns about whether his body could still perform at the highest level.
The moment, if you go back and rewatch this fight, the moment where you question and go, oh no, oh no, this human, this young man, Conor, isn't ready. He didn't prepare right. He throws a punch, right? We're all thinking of the kicks, but if you rewatch it, he threw a punch and he went down. He lost his balance. He lost his balance on a punch. And that's where I saw, okay, this is not going to be any different than Chuck or Tito. This isn't going to be any different than Gina or Rhonda. This is just a wonderful athlete who hasn't done it for 6 years. And I think that's okay.
Sonnen also questioned whether the UFC can continue relying on McGregor as the centerpiece of major pay-per-view events without championship implications. While Conor remains one of the biggest stars the sport has ever produced, Chael believes the excitement surrounding repeated comeback attempts has started to fade. He suggested that if McGregor fights again, it should be because he genuinely wants to compete, not because the promotion expects another blockbuster built entirely around his name. According to Sonnen, the sport has evolved, and today's spotlight belongs to a new generation of champions.
Why do I say that? You can't main event somebody at this price tag and not have a title attached. Now, that's not a literal statement. You can if you have something else. And they had a history here and they had a return, and after all, that is Conor McGregor, and the live gate absolute all-time record proves you can still do it, but it's a rarity. Can you pull that same trick twice? Put a guy in a weight class that isn't his own, bring another guy from a weight class that isn't his own, contest it at a weight class that really had nothing to do with anything. Oh, by the way, no belt, no title implications, main event. Can you do that twice? No, I don't think so. Okay, but you can still have Conor if there's a love of competition. We got to relook at the deal. It won't be a 5-round fight, and for the first time ever, it's not going to be a main event, right? I understand Conor's debut but after that, he was main event. Even his fight against Max the first time, to remind you, was a main event of the prelim, but it was a main event. You get my point? And I don't think that's realistic. I don't think we believe that Conor is going to jerk the curtain. I don't think we believe he's going to be third down from the top. I don't think we believe that he's going to be in his hotel while the press conference is going on with 2 guys on a card. That's not him. So, can we make all the things work that we would need to work to get him in there? And I don't think so. That's a tough talk, but it's okay.
As Chael wrapped up his thoughts, he reflected on the reality that every legendary fighter eventually faces. No matter how dominant an athlete once was, there comes a point when the sport continues moving forward without them. For Sonnen, McGregor may now be approaching that difficult stage of his career. He acknowledged everything Conor accomplished inside the octagon, but reminded fans that greatness doesn't stop time. Whether McGregor accepts it or not, Chael believes the UFC has already begun building its future around new stars rather than its former king.
I don't think so. That's a tough talk, but it's okay. He can handle it. He did what he needed to do. He represented very well for a very long time. At some point, you can no longer do this work. I will tell you, as a former fighter, there is never a day that you're done with the business. But there's a day for everyone that you wake up and you find out the business is done with you.
Unlike Sonnen, Michael Bisping sees a different reason behind McGregor's determination to return. He doesn't believe money is driving Conor's motivation. Instead, Bisping thinks one of the fiercest competitors in MMA simply refuses to let his career end on a disappointing note after several difficult losses. According to Bisping, elite athletes rarely accept walking away, while questions still surround their legacy. He believes McGregor wants one more opportunity to prove that he still belongs among the UFC's top fighters and can remind the world why he once became the biggest attraction in combat sports.
The big question is he coming back? Well, here's what I think. I think that he will. I think that he came back because he's a fighter and that he gives a damn about his reputation as a fighter, not so much the money. Yes, the money's great, but he's got lots of that. But he wants to show the world, hey, I've still got it. I'm still the man. I can still beat these people in a fight, right? Because I think that. I'm 47 years old, and if some little punk thinks that they can beat me, I want to prove them wrong. And if I'm still active, if I'm still in the lightweight division or the middleweight division, and if I'm still of fighting age, then I certainly want to prove that. I don't want to walk away losing 4 out of my last 5 fights, okay? Because that'd be a bit embarrassing, okay? But that is just combat sports. It is a tale as old as time. That is what happens. This sport will churn you up, chew you up, spit you out, and leave you down the road, okay? And Conor McGregor has done very well out of it. Will he come back again and fight? Yeah. I don't know who it's going to be, okay?
Bisping also admitted that recovering from another devastating injury could become one of the greatest tests of McGregor's life. Long rehabilitation periods are mentally exhausting, and many fighters struggle to remain focused when they spend months away from competition. Staying disciplined, he says, will be just as important as healing physically. Despite those challenges, Bisping remains hopeful that McGregor will avoid distractions and fully commit himself to recovery. He believes the UFC is always stronger when one of its biggest stars is active, and fans around the world would eagerly watch one final comeback if Conor successfully makes it back.
If he is going through dark times, then it is obviously very easy to start acting up, to start drinking and partying and stuff like that. I hope that he doesn't. I hope that he stays on the straight and narrow. And I hope that he makes it back to the sport as soon as possible, because the whole fight week was absolutely phenomenal. The buzz, the atmosphere was absolutely electric, and everyone was very, very excited to see him come back. The big question is, will it still be there? Will the hype still be there? Do people still care? Do people want to see him return? And will it be at that same kind of fever? You know what I'm saying?
Sports physician Dr. Brian Sutterer believes fans shouldn't immediately assume McGregor's reported knee injury has ended his career. He explained that many elite athletes have successfully returned after suffering similar or even more serious injuries. Until the full medical diagnosis is confirmed, Sutterer says there's still every reason to believe Conor could fight again.
If he's a 39-year-old coming off an ACL surgery, would you advise him to fight again?
I would certainly not keep him from fighting. You know, I've seen and talked with athletes with far worse injuries continue their sports at varying levels. Lindsey Vonn, right?
Right.
You know, recent example, not that I talked to her, but right, we've seen kind of the extreme in her case. And so all you can do is you give them the pros, the cons. You talk about the risks. You talk about what possibilities could be there, and then you give them all the support that you can to help accomplish their goals, whatever they may be. I don't think there'd be any reason it would be dangerous for him to continue fighting, especially if he has a good recovery, no matter what the case may be. It certainly as we get older, it's harder to have an optimal recovery compared to, say, if this had happened when he was, 21 years old.
Michael Chandler also pushed back against claims that McGregor entered UFC 329 already fighting on a badly damaged leg. Chandler pointed to Conor's aggressive start, saying he looked confident and fully committed from the opening exchanges. In his view, McGregor wouldn't knowingly step into the octagon carrying a major injury just for a paycheck.
Everybody's trying to figure out, hey, was Conor injured prior to the fight? You can say what you want about Conor. The thing he is not is a bamboozler. Because I've had a lot of people say, man, why would Conor do that? He came out like an idiot, jumped across the cage and threw a kick. Conor always does that. When I was training to fight him, I was expecting within the first 5 minutes some kind of spinning wheel kick, some type of flying knee, some type of flying Superman punch. He did the Superman punch against Cowboy Cerrone within the first 5 seconds. To those who say, why would he do that? Well, he did it because he always does that. I believe he wants to fight me. I believe he tried to fight me. I believe he wanted to fight me. I believe that's how the negotiations went. When it comes to the confines of competition, the dude would not just show up to take a paycheck. He pulled out of the fight with me. It was a broken pinky toe. You're telling me that he would pull out of a fight because of a broken pinky toe, but he wouldn't pull out of a fight with a very severely compromised leg?
Daniel Cormier believes McGregor's biggest challenge isn't making another comeback, it's convincing fans to believe in one. After years of injuries, canceled returns, and setbacks, DC says many people have become skeptical whenever McGregor promises he's coming back. Rebuilding that trust could be harder than preparing for the fight itself.
And if you ask me truthfully, I am more likely to tell you that it's not gonna happen than it will happen. He's very unique, and I think the whole week showed that. He's the biggest star that we have, and the whole week showed that. I just wonder if he even does try to come back once again. Do people even buy into it again and say they want to see Conor McGregor go at it one more time?
Go ahead.
It really sucks because the card itself was insane.
The MMA world remains completely divided over McGregor's future. Chael Sonnen believes age and inactivity have finally caught up with him, while Michael Bisping is convinced Conor's competitive mindset will eventually bring him back. Dr. Brian Sutterer sees hope from a medical perspective, and Michael Chandler believes the injury happened during the fight rather than before it. Whether McGregor returns or not, his next decision will be one of the biggest stories in MMA. A successful comeback could become one of the greatest redemption stories in UFC history, but another setback may finally convince fans that the legendary chapter of The Notorious has reached its conclusion. If Conor does step back into the octagon, the entire combat sports world will be watching to see if he can silence every doubt once again, or if time has finally caught up with one of the UFC's biggest superstars. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more UFC news, expert reactions, fight analysis, and Conor McGregor updates. Let us know in the comments. Can Conor McGregor make one final run to the top, or has his championship era officially come to an end?